Hello and welcome to the 116th episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill. Interesting week in the NBA, Jay. Let's start in the NBA. I stayed up last night and I watched the Houston Golden State game.
As did I.
And I just love the matchups in that series.
Yeah.
But I can't figure out what happened to Steph Curry. It's like aliens stole him. I mean, I've never seen him. Draymond Green really impressed me. He played unbelievably well. Durant was ridiculous. But Steph Curry was – Klay Thompson was decent. Steph Curry was absent.
He missed in that final, in the end of the game and overtime, missed a wide-open layup and a wide-open dunk that he probably should have just tried to lay in.
Yeah, I just don't understand it.
No.
I've never – and then James Harden was ridiculous. I mean, he can shoot the eyes out of the hoop. There's no question.
Yeah.
And Capella really alters a lot of shots.
He does.
And I think he's good. I mean, and Andre Iguodala, I think he just rests him all year, and then he surfaces in May and June.
Yeah, and he's great.
He played very, very well. But that was, I thought Golden State could have put him away. They could have won 3-0. I mean, I know they were down most of the game, but they came back, and then they just couldn't hit the big shot when they needed to.
No.
So let's see what happens. It looks like in each of these series now, the team that played like Houston did and won the game did not play well the next game.
It's true.
And I left to go out there.
Harden still pushes off all the time, and he still travels all the time, and he still flops. But in that overtime, he made he had the three-pointer and then that drive down the middle where he made two clutch shots. And I've knocked him for not being clutch, but he was clutch in that particular game.
He makes his free throws.
And he definitely makes his free throws.
It's going to be an interesting series. I'm looking forward to, I guess, Game 4 is tomorrow.
Yeah. I kind of feel like, I know it sounds stupid, but I feel like Golden State really needs, I mean, they didn't play that well throughout the game. Like I said, they were down. But they really had a chance to go up 3-0 when they tied the game towards the end. And they just, they couldn't get that one play.
They kind of remind me of Oklahoma City because they went away from Durant.
I know.
And they went, and he was having an unbelievable game. They went away from him. So maybe it's a little bit of it's obviously self-inflicted.
Right. But if you get Steph Curry wide open for a layup, you pretty much expect Curry to make a layup.
Yeah, you do. So what was your thought on Philadelphia today?
That's been a really weird series because it almost.
Joe Embiid looked phenomenal the last game.
Yeah,
and like this game, I don't know if he just didn't have anything. It looked like he had nothing in the tank at all.
It really did.
And when he's like, I mean, you saw. I mean, the impact of him in the third game was incredible.
Incredible.
But this looked like, I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know.
What's weird about this series is even though the scores have been fairly close, it doesn't feel like any of the games were like, this game was, again, it looked close, but Toronto sort of had that game wrapped up, it seemed like, despite the final score. Like, it doesn't seem like this has been like, I'm going to say competitive because obviously it's 2-2. It's been very competitive, but the games have been, I feel like the team that win the game clearly won the entire, if they were boxing, they would have won the game on the card as a unanimous decision. But Embiid's talked about how he's not in the best shape at different points throughout the season. And whether that's due to rest or injury or whatever it is, I don't know.
I'm kind of worried if he has another game like that, I just don't think they have enough without him having an amazing game each time.
No.
And he is obviously that makes it go.
Yeah. Now, Portland-Denver has been a really fun series. I think all four of these series have been really fun.
Well, I'm with Charles Barkley. I think Portland's going to make the final. I think Portland's going to make the Western Finals, and I think they could win and go to the finals. So I'm with Chuck on this one.
Really?
What I saw in that Oklahoma City series, and I realize it's not the same, I was just blown away by how well those guards play. I think they're the best pair of guards left in the tournament.
They are, and I know if we
That's
go with,
on one team. They're incredible.
and especially C.J. McCollum, who was kind of he wasn't having the best year, but it feels like he's really picked it up in the playoffs.
He
And
has really picked it up. They
yeah,
play well. We play well off each other. They play well on the defensive end of the court as well as offensively, and they can put up some big numbers.
big numbers.
Now, I haven't followed Cantor too much in this series, but he was, call it a revenge factor, whatever you want to. In the Oklahoma City series, he was dominant. He caused a lot of problems.
Not to bring up bad memories of the Patriots, but it almost feels like the Blazers coach does a Patriot thing with Cantor. Like with Oklahoma City, the Billy Donovan came out and was like, "They're just games we can't play him in," despite the fact that he does some stuff really, really well.
Yeah.
And it's like, figure out how to get him to do the stuff he does well and play him, and not be like, "Well, it's a bad matchup, we can't put him in there." And it's like, no, no, no. The dude tries hard. He's great on offense. He's a good rebounder. Like, figure something out to get him involved in the game.
Well, interesting that you said that, because as I was watching the fourth quarter of Houston and Golden State last night, I was thinking that Steph Curry was a real liability defensively on the court.
Oh yeah,
and that maybe you got it. There comes a time you can't play him against a certain team. It just doesn't work out.
well, especially like it's one thing when Steph Curry is shooting, what is it, 40, 50, 90, 40% for 3-point range, 50% of the field, 90% of the free throw line. When he's that Steph Curry, then you can play him because he brings so much offensively that you're fine with whatever he gives you defensively.
But it looked like he couldn't get his shot off last night, so he wasn't taking it.
No, he couldn't get his shot off. And then again, like I said, I mean, he had those two uncontested shots at the rim, the missed dunk that looked like me as an eighth grader, and then the missed layup. And then he had another one where he sort of, it was a contested layup, but it was one that Steph Curry normally makes.
Right.
But
I don't know what happened. It was just, I was in shock.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you see somebody can make those twisting, falling down, one-handed teardrops, and then just to miss a layup, not a complicated layup, just a layup. It was surprising.
Not known, obviously, as a dunker by any stretch, but, watching him, I don't know what happened on that one, but he wasn't close.
I know. I was in shock. I was really in shock.
He might have been able to get a tennis ball down, but that may have been it.
Any thoughts on Boston, Toronto?
Boston, Milwaukee.
I'm sorry.
It looks like Giannis has adjusted from game one quite a bit, but that series is just a good series.
It is a good series. It goes back and forth, back and forth. I like that one as well. And I'm going to go in, when we get done with the show, I'm going to go finish watching the rest of Denver, Portland.
Oh, yeah. That's a back and forth. Denver's still a team like
all four of the series are good series.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been able to get a feel for Denver all year long. I mean, there's something about them. We had the best big man we've seen since.
A great passer.
Just a great passer. Like no kick. I can never remember his name. He's really fun to watch. Like he knows how to play basketball, despite the fact that he looks like he shouldn't be good at basketball. Outside of the height, obviously.
Yeah, I mean he reminds me of vintage Bill Walton before Bill Walton got hurt.
Or Sabonis before Sabonis came to America.
Really a good passer, good court vision, sets some things up, controls the pace, controls the tempo. I like him.
Yeah. But they've got Jamal Murray and Harris, who are both a little bit up and down from time to time. So it's hard,
So, Jason, I'm going to make your day. I'm going to switch to the football for a minute.
Oh, okay.
So I was talking to a certain Hall of Fame linebacker that used to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that I won't name by name on the show.
We're not naming him? Okay.
And I asked him how they like the pick. And he goes, "Oh, we really like our pick." He goes, "The only guy I would like better than him was Devin Bush."
Oh, I like that.
That's what I said. So I saved that nugget for you for the show.
Well, I think we talked about it before. Devin Bush is one of my favorite players in the draft. And they talked about White and Bush are both almost the same player, but they felt like Bush was a little bit more instinctive.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to things now after I heard that comment.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
He's from Florida, and so this Hall of Famer knows this person
Yeah.
and has followed his career, knows him pretty well.
No, I'm really excited.
How about the Kentucky Derby? Not on my bucket list. I can't believe all the pictures of my friends telling me if they're at the Kentucky Derby to cross off their bucket list. Never been on my bucket list, but you had the favorite scratched, and then the horse that wins is disqualified, and then the horse that gets the victory is 65-1 underdog.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, I didn't quite understand. Like, I got the alert on my phone because I was, it was on TV, but there was no sound on. I was just at a bar. But I got the alert on my phone, I forget the machine, the horse that won, the horse that won, whatever. And then I got disqualified. And I honestly assumed disqualified was for some sort of like the horse tested positive for horse steroids.
Yeah, that's why. It's unfortunate. That's immediately what you would think.
That's the first.
But that's what conditioned to do.
Yeah. And then when I heard the explanation, like in my mind, I'm like, well, you're just running a race. Like, what does it matter? Who cares if you cut somebody off? But then once I listened to some horse racing aficionados on TV explain why it's so dangerous, I understood what was going on. That if you cut in front of those legs like that, you could end up with both horses getting twisted and tangled. The jockeys could be hurt, but the horses could be hurt, maybe multiple horses. So I guess I understand it.
Yeah, I would have had to see it, and I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But, it's just kind of wild when the favorite is scratched from the race, and then it becomes a wide open race, and then the horse that wins is disqualified. That's kind of crazy.
It's very crazy. And I assume Vegas was probably bummed.
To pay off 65-1, I would think they would be.
I don't know how many people put that money down, but that was a big, big bet.
I think tomorrow we should probably have a better idea of what the payout was.
Yeah.
But crazy.
Speaking of payouts, did you see the viral clip of Danny Amendola and Tom Brady?
I did not.
So they're in a parking lot at night. I think it was after the Kentucky Derby because I know Brady goes to the Kentucky Derby every year. Danny Amendola had like a little kid football, probably like a Nerf-sized football, but a regular football. Brady casually was like, I'll give you $100,000 if you can hit that pole. And Amendola nailed it. But it's just like the casualness of the $100,000 was kind of funny.
Yeah. It sounds like a Michael Jordan bet.
It was. It was just like I don't think you can do it. Just like, oh, okay.
I owe you $100,000.
Yeah. And somebody else
take a check.
But the clip ended, so I didn't get to see if they went double or nothing. But I was just like, wow. I was like, that's Tom Brady, competitiveness, money, all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's see. I watched the Pirates win, come from behind today. That was fun.
I watched a bit of Mike Trout in Mexico today. Where I got very confused by the signs because I guess they shot, they were showing like some of the food.
Uh-huh.
So they showed these amazing looking churros and giant donuts, and then they flashed to a pizza, and it looked like it was $70, but I'm assuming it was 70 pesos. Because that's
70 pesos isn't very much.
No, but that makes more sense for pizza in a stadium.
You would think.
You would think. Yeah, because then we saw something else, and it was like 60, and it looked like it was just a bag of nuts, and I'm like, where are they at in Mexico? That was probably the most baseball I watched all year. So we're still wanting, I just need to.
I watched 2 out of the last 3. I was talking to your uncle the other night. We were going to watch the Pirate A's game and then talk about it, and it was over in the 3rd inning, so we didn't talk about it.
Well, they came back on the 13th and won today.
Yeah, they came, and I watched that one. I was going to talk to your uncle about that. But we were watching the 11-1 or 14-1, whatever it ended up. It was a disaster.
Nice.
So
one more NFL news. This is somewhat NFL/video games. They announced the cover athlete for Madden.
Yes.
And the Madden curse. So Patrick Mahomes.
I bet you everybody in Kansas City is quaking in their boots.
Because you know what's funny? Do you know who was a recent You know who was last year's, if I'm not mistaken?
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown, who did not have a technically a bad statistical year, but you could argue that he had a bad year.
Yeah.
And obviously it goes further back, but I mean it is pretty crazy. And I think you could argue right now that the curse has already taken place. Kareem Hunt's gone, and that looks like Tyreek Hill might be gone. So maybe it's already slowly eroding that team.
We'll have to see where it goes, but that's always one to watch.
Yes, it is.
It is strange. You always say there's no such thing as a curse, and you watch that one, just like the old Sports Illustrated cover jinx.
Yeah.
It happened too many times for you not to read something into it.
And again, we see it. I mean, every Sunday you're watching the NFL, and at some point, whether it's Justin Tucker or some other kicker that's just destroying everybody, it's like he has not missed a kick from under 30 yards since week 7 last year, and that's me. He's doinking it.
You count on it.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, you assume that just obviously everyone's a coincidence, but at the same time, I don't know. There's something to it.
There just is one of these things about Bob Prince used to call it hidden vigorish. The further you come from it happening, the closer you are to it happening. It was crazy. The more it doesn't happen, the closer it is to happening.
Okay, that makes sense. On some level.
Yeah. So you had an entertainment moment this week?
I did. I watched Netflix released a movie that I was very skeptical of because when they released the trailer for, they obviously they had the Ted Bundy tapes that came out a little while ago, where you got the words of Ted Bundy, and then they made a movie starring Zac Efron called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, where he portrays Ted Bundy. And I gotta say, and Lily Collins plays the woman he was married to while he was killing everybody, and we get a lot of the story from her perspective. They don't show you any of Ted Bundy's killings, and they sort of stay away from the violent side. We see a lot more of her relationship with Ted Bundy, his relationship to her daughter. We see Ted Bundy as a lawyer in court, and him continuing to try and manipulate people.
Mm-hmm.
We see the woman he ends up marrying in court, and eventually, fathering a child of who's still around, which has got to be crazy to be Ted Bundy's daughter.
So the first wife, which state was that in? Was that in California? Was it in Oregon? Or Washington? Was it in Utah? Where was it?
I think she was in Utah.
Okay.
And she was a single mom. He met her out at a club or like a bar, and just instantly fell for her. And it's she confronts him and again you never it's obviously a little bit licensed, but she's questioning why he never tried to kill her, because they portray him as like he immediately moved, like they got together really quickly,
mm-hmm.
became a father to her daughter, and they showed pictures of them together and they were happy and they were this little family unit, and it's definitely worth watching. Like, it's very interesting. And then the cool thing is they show, like they do with a lot of movies that are based on true stories. I guess I didn't realize this before, but Ted Bundy's was one of the first. His trial was one of the first trials that was on national television.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the trial portrayed by Zac Efron and John Malkovich as the judge, and some other good actors in the here and there. And then during the closing credits, they show you clips from the actual trial that was on television, and it's. Because when you're watching John Malkovich in the movie, you almost feel like he's adding a little bit of sauce, a little bit of flavor to the character to give him something more than just a normal judge.
Uh-huh.
The judge really did talk the way that the Ted Bundy judge talked. But it's actually really good. It's really good, really well done. Zac Efron of High School Musical fame does a really good job in the movie.
Interesting.
And it's free on Netflix.
Okay.
No, Netflix, it's a movie you can watch, I guess. I shouldn't say free.
And I told you that I watched a show on Reels on DirecTV, and Reels is the name of the network. And it was the fatal shot that killed JFK. And it was a theory I had never heard before. And it's based upon this book that this ballistics expert wrote. And the book was called Mortal Error. and I'll give it away here, and people should go either read the book or watch the thing. But it said the fatal shot was fired by a Secret Service man in the car behind the Kennedy car as he was turning he had took out the rifle and as he was turning to look where the shots came from. He slipped, fell back in the seat, the gun went off, and hit Kennedy. And that's the story. And when you see everything else in the book and in the movie, all the cover up and the length of the cover up and the things they changed made sense, because what could be more embarrassing than having the president of the United States killed by friendly fire?
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting take on it. And so it really got my attention. And I'm going to read this. I saw the movie, now I'm going to read the book.
It's funny because we talked about that off air before we got on air. And I agree, like it would be an incredibly embarrassing thing to happen and, all those sorts of things. But at the same time, as I've been thinking about it in the back of my mind, I almost feel like if you came out and said that that's what happened, right?
Uh-huh.
I think you would end a lot of the conspiracy. I mean, I love the conspiracy talk. No matter what it is, I'm in. But I feel like if that was, if you said Oswald shot him in the throat, this guy was trying to react, he tripped, the rifle went off, that's why the bullet was there, that's why it looked like a second bullet, no more magic bullet.
No, the magic bullet theory still goes.
Oh, okay.
That still goes. And they showed why that wasn't a magic bullet after all.
Oh.
Because they showed that Connolly was sitting in a jump seat, not a regular seat. So he was actually lower than Kennedy. And at the time of the shot, he was turning around to say something to Kennedy when he got hit. And so when they lined it up like that, it made sense.
Okay.
I don't know about the bullet in the stretcher, but the rest of it made sense.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Magic bullet. Explained on some level.
On some level. Now, I didn't have a food moment this week, but you think you had a food moment.
I did have a food moment. It was my friend's birthday, and she's into flights. Like she likes like flights of wine or flights of beer, where you get like a little sample.
Yeah. So
there's a place down here called Nothing Bunt Cakes.
Uh-huh.
They make bunt cakes. And they make, they're incredibly delicious. We got one at work one day. We got a full-size one. And they come in like regular-sized bunt cake, like I guess the size of like a large donut. And then they make these little mini bunts that are like, 2 or 3 bite bunt cakes. And they come in like 10 different flavors.
So you can get a flight of bunt cakes?
Get a flight of bunt cakes.
That's awesome.
So you buy them by the dozen. So you basically get 10 flavors and then you double down on something, another flavor. And they have like chocolate. They had white chocolate raspberry. They had pecan, vanilla, marble, funfetti, red velvet. I mean, any flavor you can imagine of these little bunt cakes. And they're awesome. And I know this is a controversial word to use, but it's the most apt word now. But they're really moist and delicious. Just a little bit of like the white cream cheese frosting on top, and it just pops. They're great.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, and it's like it was like $18 for 12, the box of 12 with the 10 different flavors, and then they give you like a little chart. So they normally have 9 flavors plus a flavor of the week, and they just give you whatever the flavor of the week is, your 10th one.
That sounds amazing, though. It's
Yeah,
a cool idea.
And again, for a party with other people, like I basically just.
How many people were in your party?
What's that?
How many people were in your group?
We had a group of 9.
Okay.
So I had 2 boxes. So, and again, they're basically 2 to 4 bites, depending on the size of your mouth, I guess. I don't know. But, you could split them up and everybody got to try different flavors and,
No, I like it.
Yeah. It seemed, and they travel well and it's nice and easy, so it was great. So shout out to Bunt Cakes. And again, like I said, it's not just the all the different options and flavors, but like they're really, really good.
Well, I've got 2 upcoming food moments I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I will be in Savannah on my way to Hilton Head, and I'm going to go to Paul Dean's Lady and Sons, which is probably still my favorite buffet I've ever been to. And then on Thursday, it's this Duke's Barbecue in South Carolina, in Beaufort, South Carolina, is only open Thursday and Friday, the only 2 days of the week.
Oh, wow.
It's a barbecue buffet, and it's open from like 11 to 5 those 2 days.
Huh.
And so I will be there for that. It was pretty amazing. They had, they had pulled pork, fried chicken, baked chicken, and a bunch of sides, and that was your choices.
Okay.
It was really good. I remember it last time. So I'm looking forward to those. Of course, I'll post Twitter pictures this time.
And this is a food moment that I didn't experience, but I watched on television that I feel like I need to bring out because things are getting a little bit out of control in the food world. Um, as you know, I live in New Orleans, and on the television show on the bar, well, there's no sound, but they showed a picture of crawfish ice cream, which is apparently a thing now, and it looked like two scoops of white ice cream with some flakes of something in it. Couldn't tell what they were, and then candied crawfish on top. Now the woman, there was a host, a man host and a woman host. They both took a bite. The woman had the thing in her mouth for about 3 seconds and spit it back in the thing. And I don't know if on the radio piece they told the other guy to pretend like he liked it, but he ate 4 or 5 bites begrudgingly. But between that ice cream and pickle ice cream, like I think we've gone too far.
I want ice cream to be sweet.
What's that?
I want ice cream to be sweet. I don't want it to taste like pickles or peppers or crawfish or anything. I want like ice cream.
But seafood ice cream just seems like definitely a step too far. And like I said, the reaction of both hosts. Now the guy, I mean, shout out to him. He, nothing against, but it just, you could tell that he was eating it like when you're at a friend's house and they made something for dinner and you just have to eat it. That's how he was eating it. And like I said, she didn't even play around. She was just like, nope, this is disgusting. I'm throwing this out.
I don't think I could get it down. I think I'd just let it go. I could not get it down. And there was a big sports story this week, or not as big as we all thought it was going to be, but all the RSN, all the Fox Sports networks were bought by Sinclair for about $10 billion. And then they separately bought the Yankees, the Yes Network.
Okay.
And so, originally they thought they were going to go for about $20 million. Now, the thing I want to know is, or the thing I'm curious about is where it's all going to go, because I'm kind of scared, Sinclair's not who I wanted to buy them. Sinclair actually partnered separately with the Yankees and Amazon to buy the Yes Network in a $3.5 billion deal that has been finalized yet. So the Yankees on Amazon, think about it.
Wow. Just, yeah.
And so we'll have to see what happens to all the other RSNs. And we have 2 here in Florida. We have Fox and Sun that are both owned by, they were both Fox. There was Fox Sports Florida and Sun Sports were both Fox Sports Florida entities. So we'll see what happens with those. But I don't know. I hope it doesn't change too much because I like the way the programs were offered. I don't know if this will mean more a la carte or less a la carte or subscription or packaging or what it's going to be, but it's going to be a story that I'm going to follow.
Yeah, these next 2 years with, now that everybody is on that we're going to have our own streaming service tip, I'm really interested to see where it goes and how people react. Like there's other services I would like to do, but like I said, I do Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix. And even though there's others I want to do, like all of a sudden it just becomes cost prohibitive to keep adding another one and adding another,
I do Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix as well.
But you also do regular cable, which I do not do.
I do DirecTV.
DirecTV. Okay.
I still have everything in the world. I don't know if I'm ever willing to give it up. So we'll have to see how it all goes.
Yeah, but I just know, like in the next couple of years, where everything is splitting up into these little different places, like where we finally end up, in packaging and everything else. Like I don't know if we're ever going to get, if they'll ever get back to the cable model where everybody has everything.
Which impacts the sports world though, because it's the opportunity for the sports networks like ESPN and everything else to be in a tier, and people have to take it whether they watch it or not.
Right.
And so they're getting money per subscriber. And if they don't have that money per subscriber, how are they going to do the NFL deal and the NBA deal and all the stuff that they do with? Or is it going to become, a pay-per-view service? I don't know. It's hard to figure out how this is all going to evolve, but it's going to change. There's no question about that.
No, it's very crazy. It's very, very crazy. Well, I think that's about it for today. We've got our normal 30 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
so we have some questions for next week and the next couple weeks as we wrap up the NBA playoffs and it gets a little bit slower sports wise. Um, so if anybody,
I'm going to be on the road next week, so I'll be calling you from California.
okay,
So I won't have a guest next week, but hopefully the next week after. We've been talking about it, and just it's hard to pin anybody down, and it's hard to pin anybody down on a Sunday. So we'll have to figure it out.
yeah,
I will say though, the last thing I want to say is a good friend of mine, Chip Bowers, who was president of the Marlins until the other day, was let go, and it's a puzzling move to me because he's one of the best executives in sports, and the Marlins are a disaster. And I can't believe after 14 months they would have pulled the plug this quickly. So I don't think it was a good idea, Mr. Jeter. If you hear me, it's not a good idea. We'll see where it all plays out. But I was very shocked and disappointed.
yeah. I think whenever you bring somebody in, whether it's a coach or management, you need to give them. It almost seems like 3 years would be the minimum.
You got to give them the runway to put their ideas in and do what they need to do.
Right. Because I mean,
And
it's a bad situation. Like you got to give them time to, show a turnaround. You can't, it just.
Yeah, there's a big article in the paper today in Tampa about the Rays, and it was giving you all these different options as to why the Rays weren't successful. And to me, it gets down to one thing. I don't think Florida's a baseball market because you can't just talk about the Rays. You got to talk about the Rays and the Marlins.
Yeah.
And they're the two worst attended teams, or two of the three worst attended teams this year in professional sports, and the Rays are in first place. So, I mean, how can you continually not draw people with a good product on the field unless people don't care?
And I don't think they do.
Well, I mean, Florida is spring training baseball.
Yeah.
And because your team comes here for spring training, you can still be a Red Sox fan. You can still be a Pirate fan. You can still be a Yankee fan. You can be a Braves fan. You don't have to switch.
No.
You can follow your team. And I think that's part of the issue is you just have no reason to let go of your allegiance. So you don't.
It's true.
And it hurts the Florida teams. So we'll see where it goes.
All right. So till next week.
All right, everyone. Have a great week.